Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the spring edition of State of Minds. We have people still logging in. As we do so, we'll get going with our program. We are just delighted that you have decided to spend a few minutes with us this evening, wherever you may be. And thanks in advance to those of you who will be watching the recording later on. We continue to get a really positive feedback from you about our 1-hour informational sessions. So we will continue to do these periodically to let you know what's going on at Minds and how you can get involved and make a difference on campus. I believe we have a number of Minds trustees, board of governors, and alumni board members, past and present. So welcome to all of you. Thank you for what you do for Minds and leading our institution in a tremendous way. Our panel this evening is President Paul Johnson, Dr. Braylon Pantel, Vice President of Student Life, and student Annie Welch. President Johnson will give an overview of the university, touching on a variety of topics. Dr. Pantel will focus on the student experience at Minds and the things that are going on there, and Annie will as well from a student perspective. We're really honored to have all three of them join us this evening. Well, you might not know it, but you will soon. We're quickly approaching Minds' sesquicentennial in 2024. Minds is turning 150 years old, and what a legacy so far. With lots more great stuff to come. Our plan is to celebrate throughout the entire calendar year next year, and we've already begun that planning process. We're going to celebrate the amazing past, the incredible present right now. Minds is in a great place, and the bright future of opportunities for Minds. Fortunately, Minds is well positioned to be a top of mind first choice STEM university for another 150 years. Thanks in a large part to the 24,000 unique gifts that have been made so far during the campaign for Minds at 150. The truly remarkable number of people, companies, foundations who have already gotten involved in making an investment in Minds and making a huge impact. It's really, truly incredible. Every time we talk about the great things that are happening at Minds, and you'll hear about a lot of them tonight, there's yet another example of how donors have helped to enable that kind of programming, and it is inspirational. Tonight, you'll hear about how private support has made a direct impact on campus for programming, for scholarships, for departments, and especially the unique Minds student experience. But of course, there's more to be done, and every gift makes a difference regardless of the amount. And you have demonstrated that as donors thus far during this campaign. Minds is such a dynamic place. There are plenty of opportunities that will meet your interests and fill an important need for Minds. Private support is the margin of excellence, as we like to say, for what Minds is and for what it needs to be in the future. And thank you to all of you for giving and for considering being a part of this campaign. In addition to gifts of treasure, we are fortunate to have so many people, especially alumni, give of their time and talent. There are plenty of opportunities for volunteering on campus, with more on the way. Minds is built on the broad shoulders of our great alumni base, and you can be an important part of the experience for current and future students by sharing your amazing story. So for more information about the campaign, for Minds at 150, and for volunteer opportunities, please check out our website at weare.minds.edu. We'll put that in the Q&A section. I encourage you to get involved in a way that is meaningful to you. So with that, on with the show. Please feel free to submit questions in the Q&A feature, which is at the bottom of the screen. If you already asked a question as you registered, we will do our best to get through those either in the overview or in the Q&A section of our program after our panelists have a chance to make a few remarks. We also want you to know that if your question wasn't answered or if it's something that's a little more detailed, we will be available to connect with you individually offline after the program at another time. So we want to be responsive to you. So thank you for your questions and for your engagement. And here is President Paul Johnson.
Thank you, Brian. And it's exciting to be here, and greetings to everybody out there in Orediger land. We have really excited by the list of people who've tuned in today. And I'm of course excited to tell you about things that are going on at Mines. And in fact, I'm going to pop up some slides here and walk you through some of these. First of all, it's a snowy day here in Golden. It's typical spring weather around here that we get. In fact, it reminds me a lot of normal E-Days weather. This is usually exactly what happens during cardboard boat races. And in fact, E-Days is just 1 week away from today. About a month after that, it's graduation time. A little bit after that, we'll have our first Orediger camp welcoming our incoming students for fall 23. And then 5 months from now, it all starts all over again with the school year, the M-Climb, all the fall sports. And of course, as Brian mentioned, we're just 9 months away from our 150th anniversary, which is going to be pretty awesome. Just a real kind of brief overview, the way I kind of think about 2023, I think it's been a great year. I tend to tell people I think we're hitting on all cylinders. We see incredibly strong interest, from students in a mines education, from companies and hiring our graduates, from agencies and funding the wonderful research that takes place here, and of course, investors like many of you who are supporting the programs and initiatives that we have taking place. Of course, I really believe a lot of that's a result of the fact that we have a great value proposition here at Mines and really unique expertise that's very valuable in the world today and obviously very necessary for moving forward on a lot of things forward in the future. We've made a lot of progress on our strategic plan, Mines at 150. We've added some great new faculty, new programs. We've got new facilities underway. We've received a lot of great investments to enable these things. We've come up with lots of new ways for alumni to be engaged in everything here on campus. And of course, I think this year's just had I just kind of feel like there's this incredible growing sense of Orediger pride, just building up out there. This year started with welcoming of our largest incoming freshman class. We were a little surprised by that. We actually accepted fewer students than the year before and more showed up. But it was a fantastic class, incredibly accomplished academically, wonderful students, just a great fit for Mines. And I always will think of this as the most ever class because hopefully it's the most ever incoming students. But we certainly have seen most ever women come in, most ever underrepresented groups, most ever first-gen students. And so even though it was larger and we were surprised by the size of the class that came in, we were really happy with the amazing students that came in with this class. Of course, with all those students, we also hired a lot of new faculty. So we had about 35 new faculty join us this year. I think the common thread is they all love being here. They all love working with our students, and I think they all love the outdoors as well, as you can tell from their pictures. One of the things that's been really cool that I'm particularly proud of is the changing demographics of our faculty. We've now reached the point where the percentage of women amongst our faculty is the same as percentage of women amongst our students. That's a pretty good accomplishment for a STEM-focused institution, and we continue to work on just attracting amazing, great faculty here to Mines. Of course, those students and those faculty need places to teach and learn and everything else. So I thought I'd tell you about the newest construction project that started here on campus. It's a new 4-story classroom building. The upper floor is offices for faculty. The bottom 3 floors are all new classrooms, much in the style of the classrooms in Coors Tech, if you're familiar with those, and over in McNeil. So the newer style that facilitate team-based learning. We're very excited about that. I'd like to say this is a classroom building that that comes with a bonus, which is we have a parking garage attached to it. So along with that, we're going to have 800 or 900 new parking spaces on campus, which is the one thing everybody seems to always be asking about. So happy about that. It's underway and exciting to see. I thought I'd also mention really something that other thing community's been very excited in is adding as much sort of renewables and solar to our portfolio of energy here on campus. And we've actually did a survey and added solar on as many rooftops as we possibly could on campus. And that work will wrap up here pretty soon as well. But when it's all done, it'll be generating about 6% of our current energy use on campus. We've added some new programs to our portfolio of programs. We now have, I think it's 21 bachelor's degree programs. Starting next fall, students will be able to enroll in the construction engineering program and the ceramic engineering program. Both of these were really driven by industry interest. And in fact, if you look at all the new programs that we've added, and I've listed some from a couple of years ago as well, our quantitative biosciences and engineering, business engineering management science undergraduate program. These are all things driven by both industry interest as well as student interest. At the graduate level, we've added, I think it's over 30 new programs. Some of those are certificates, some of them are full degree programs, a lot of them are interdisciplinary. Got a great program in combination with NREL and advanced energy systems. And again, a lot of these are really what industry and our students are asking for. So we're excited about those. I really appreciate all the effort the faculty put into launching those so quickly, and I'm looking forward to seeing them get off the ground. Of course, people are always kind of interested in, well, with all those programs, where are the students these days? And so made a little table here for you. You can see kind of the enrollment across all of our undergraduate majors. And I've highlighted a few of them. I highlighted mechanical engineering, computer science, because about 43% of all undergraduates are in one of those two programs these days. I highlighted quantitative biosciences engineering here, because that's one of those programs that just started a little over a year ago. And you can see it's already our 7th largest program. The other program that launched at that time was business engineering and management science. And it's already 4 times the size of our economics program. We're excited about the growth and growing interest in that topic. I highlighted the engineering program because Annie, our star student speaker here today, is in that program. And then mining engineering, I thought I would point out, because this is one of those programs where we received a tremendous investment this year that we're super excited about. So Stephen R.D. Whistler made a $7.5 million investment in the mining engineering program. Really, there were 2 or 3 factors that got into that. Number one is we've always had the #1 ranked mining engineering program in the world, and we want to make sure that it stays the #1 program. That's one part of it. But the other part really is this quote in the middle from Steve himself, and it's really there just aren't enough graduates with experience in mining to meet the demand that's growing as a result of this movement to more renewable energies, electric cars, and all those kinds of things, really increasing demand for minerals and materials used in all sorts of industries. And so Steve really wants us to make sure that we stay the #1 program in the world. He wants to make sure that we grow the program. So we've got targets for increasing the number of undergraduates in the program by about 50%. And what Steve funded was an endowed chair for the head of the program to make sure that we can attract top leadership of the program, a professor of practice with significant industry experience to help work on strategic initiatives with that head of mining engineering program, and a scholars program to support students in mining engineering. So those are just getting off the ground. We're having the searches for the positions, and I am really looking forward to the impact of this gift on mining engineering. And we really think that the world is going to be looking to mines and our program as the exemplar of what other mining engineering programs will be doing in the world. Of course, certainly in the fall and in this entire year, one of those things that just been super exciting and fun to watch has been the success of Mines Athletics. After winter programs, through fall, through winter, our Mines Athletics program is in the Learfield Directors Cup rankings, the #1 Division II program in the country. It's the first time I think we've ever been top program at the end of the winter season. We've have been at the top at the end of the fall season before, but it's just amazing what the programs are doing. Our men's cross country team won the national championship in the fall. This year so far, we've had 2 individual national champions. So Dylan Powell last spring won the 10K outdoor national championship. This fall, he was the top finisher in the national cross country race. And just a few weeks ago, he was the national champion for the 5K in indoor track season. At the same time, Hannah Miller won the pole vault at the national championships, and she's our first ever women athlete to be a national champion in the indoor track sport. So pretty exciting there. Of course, a lot of interest, a lot of Orediger pride generated as a result of the football team reaching the national championship game last fall. John Matoka, our quarterback, obviously he won the Harlan Hill Trophy, the equivalent, the Division II equivalent of the Heisman Trophy. He was also named the National Player of the Year. Zoe Baker, who's a cross country and a track runner, she was one of the 9 finalists across all NCAA divisions this year for NCAA Women of the Year. And 3 of our coaches, Coach Seamers for cross country, and Coach Moore and Coach Sturbeck for football, were national coaches of the year this year. What's really cool about our athletes is they truly are student athletes. John is a computer science major. Zoe is a computer science and applied math and stats major. Dylan Powell is a chemical engineering major. And Hannah Miller's in that new quantitative bioscience engineering program. So they are that, and one of the things I'm particularly proud of is the fact that if you look at the number of academic All-Americans who've been named since the program was started in 1952, Colorado School of Mines has the most of any school in Division II. And to be a academic All-American, you have to be top in your sport, but you also have to have at least a 3.5 GPA. And I'll just point out of those top 10, there's only one other STEM-focused institution on there. And when you think about the challenge and difficulty of our programs, to see how many academic All-Americans we've had is just testament to the quality of our athletics program and the quality of our student athletes that we attract here to Mines. So that's kind of some highlights. I wanted to talk a little bit about really what we sort of focus on every day, and that's I talk about 2 things. We focus on our mission, which is to produce the talent, the knowledge, and innovations that industry and society need for prosperity. And I talk about we need to be prepared for the future, and that's what our strategic plan, Mines at 150, is all about. I was thinking about that first one, that mission, that producing that talent and the innovations and the knowledge, and what popped in my head was that one of the best representations of that I can think of from this year was our petroleum engineering, as part of their 100th anniversary, created an inaugural Hall of Fame group, and they had a dinner to celebrate that. And these are the folks that were elected to the Petroleum Engineering Hall of Fame. You can go to their website and read about the bios on all these folks, but these are people who are all industry leaders. They were innovators. They really made the petroleum industry what it is today. And it was just, I know I got goosebumps hearing all their backgrounds and all the things that they did when we had this particular ceremony. So that was pretty neat. Another indication of all the sort of knowledge and innovations that we generate is the research that takes place here at Mines. Of course, last year we achieved R1 status. There's only 146 universities in the country that have that top tier research status. We bring in almost $100 million of external funding. These are our amazing faculty writing proposals, competing against other faculty around the world for both government and industry support. And I just wanted to point out that there's a research magazine out there that was just issued. You can go on our webpage and find it and read it, and I encourage you all to do that. I just put up the range of topics that's discussed in there, but I think it gives you a great sense of the work that our faculty and their students are doing, and again, things that are incredibly relevant to the challenges facing industry and society today. So take a look at that. It's a great publication. And then, of course, talking about our strategic plan and the progress that we're making on it. As Brian mentioned, we're working hard to be that top of mind first choice university that we aspire to be. We have a list of sort of imperatives, things that we have to accomplish. that have to do with the design, the number of students, the number of faculty, expanding pathways to mines, making sure we've got one of the most attractive experiences and education opportunities here, make sure we have great return on investment, student success outcomes for our students, making sure we're always producing the distinctive graduates that we're well known for, and all those other things. I thought I talked about just a few of these. People are always interested in the number of students here, so I thought that I would update you on that. So we have our strategic plan design calls for us to be about 7,500 students. In case you're wondering why it's 7,500, that's about the size that we need to be able to provide the programs and the facilities and the unique equipment and everything else that we have here. It's sort of a size where we can still deliver that hands-on education that we're well known for, but also that we have enough people to get sort of the economy of scale to be able to do that. So we've always been targeting for about 7,500 students. We're sort of up on, we have more undergraduates than we had originally designed for, fewer graduate students than we originally designed for, and that's part of sort of being surprised by the interest at the undergraduate level, and the graduate program's not growing quite as fast as we'd planned to, but that's where we're going, and you can see where we are in terms of numbers of faculty, and we've sort of blown past our goal for research funding. So so that's where we are in terms of those numbers. I showed you earlier kind of where they're distributed between degree programs. So why do students, why should students come to Mine? Why do they come to Mine? I think it's a combination of two things. One, it's signature student experience, and Braylon's going to talk about that when I'm done here in a minute. But there's all these components of it. Obviously, you get a great education here. We challenge you, but we also support you. Got incredibly unique honors and scholars programs. We have a big emphasis on professional development. I always tell students I want their resume to be the top of the pile, and it's going to take more than just having a good GPA, right? There's all those other skills that go around that. And anyway, but I'm going to focus a little bit on this sort of success of students and return on investment that we talk about a lot. And so I've kind of sort of summarized that all here to try to, in a way, what's the story? Well, the story is, if we're pretty good at choosing students that are going to do well here at Mines, but if you come to Mines, 82% of our students at the undergraduate level leave with a Mines degree. If you look at sort of, top performing universities, that number might be about 85% at the best universities. And those aren't STEM focused universities. Typically, if you look at engineering programs in comprehensive universities, it would be very rare to see 82% of the students who started as engineers to finish as engineers. But so we've great opportunity. In any case, almost everybody who comes to Mines gets a degree. Of those students who get their degrees, almost all of them pretty quickly have jobs. Our Career Center puts out a report every year. Again, I encourage you to go to our website and take a look at that. Tells you the industry students go to, it tells where they go to geographically, it tells you about their salaries at both the bachelor's, master's, and PhD levels. And last year we had 1,300 organizations recruit at Mines. I think there were over 4,000 jobs posted at Mines last year. Of course, for a graduating class, it's maybe total students 1,500-ish coming out of Mines. And people are always interested in that. I get frequently asked about the industries that our graduates are going to. Aerospace is the number one these days, but the top 4 in total that account for about half of all graduates are basically aerospace, civil infrastructure, energy industry, of course, has always been a core of Mines, and the IT industries. And then, of course, students still go everywhere, again, all over the place, including graduate school and medical school and law school. So just give you a sense for where they're going. So come to Mines, you're going to get a degree, you're going to get opportunities out there, and it's really going to open doors for you. So great value proposition there. And we were really pleased last year to be recognized by Georgetown University as the #2 public university for return on investment for low-income students. And again, we always do incredibly well in rankings that value return on investment. So in terms of things that are in progress, we're currently going through our university higher learning. Every university goes through university accreditation, and the degree programs go through ABET accreditations, but we've had our visit, we've had our reviews. We expect that to go pretty smoothly. In fact, we got lots of very wonderful positive comments from the review committee that came here to campus. They were really excited about what we do and what we deliver here at Mines. The faculty have been working hard on a core revision for all students, and just thought I'd mention that it's been I think what we're going to see in all the programs, they're going to have make sure all students have programming experience, have data science, data analytics experience. This is what all the employers are asking us for, as well as increasing their business acumen, which has been a huge part of the Mines at 150 plan. In terms of, I get a lot of questions about housing, and one of our goals in Mines at 150 was to make sure we had enough housing for all first and second year students on campus, have enough housing for all of our research-based graduate students, and then sort of fill in from there. And with the pandemic, sort of put a pause button on some of our housing plans. Those have been brought back to life, and you'll see a lot of activity adding housing specifically for second year students on the property south of 19th Street, so kind of across the street from Spruce Hall. We're looking at adding about 800 beds over there. And then up at Mines Park, we'll be having expansion that we anticipate that one starts this summer. Probably start construction, anticipating maybe end of summer this fall on the sophomore housing. With all these students, first and second year living on campus, it's obviously put pressure on dining and rec facilities. And so we've got plans for a new on-campus dining facility. Expect that to get going pretty soon. We're trying to figure out, we're looking at various plans for adding more recreation facilities on campus for students. We have an early childhood education facility that we'll be breaking ground on in the next couple of weeks. And between now and this fall, we expect to finish construction of all the buildings associated with our entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem. That's the Labriola InnoHub and the Beck Venture Center. I'll talk about those in just a second. And then we have some partnerships going on. We have a facility that we're in planning to build that will bring between 200 and 300 USGS scientists and staff to Mines in what will be known as the Minerals and Energy Research Facility. Mines will have a presence in there as well. And then Course Tech is redeveloping its historic property in downtown Golden, and they've asked us to be part of that project, and we intend to be there as well. So that's pretty exciting from adding sort of space and facility standpoint. I just thought I'd talk real briefly about the entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem, because that's been a huge part of the Mines at 150 plan, and of course wouldn't be possible without donor support. The Labriola Innovation Complex, which includes a new building and renovations of our old shops area, be about 4,600 square feet of really maker space just to support lots of hands-on activities, use as classrooms for our freshman design classes, our senior capstone courses, other classes along the way. And then in the evenings, students will be able to, hang out there, work together in teams, prototype things that they're interested in prototyping. I'm really excited to see that get off the ground. That along with Medial Hall are kind of the beginning of introducing students to be thinking more entrepreneurially and thinking about how do you take the innovations that we're dreaming of and making them reality. So the Innovation Complex is kind of the place where you work together in teams, you prototype things, you can test stuff out, you get a feeling for what it is to really be a creator and an innovator. And then the other side of campus, we've got the Beck Venture Center, which is the facility that's going to support students, faculty, graduate students, alumni, and entities that have significant connections to Mines. We're going to help them launch products, start companies. In fact, we already have the programming for that taking place in another building on campus with actually a number of entities. I think it's more than 20, where I think about a third of them are faculty driven, a third of them are student driven, a third of them are alumni driven right now. But when that building opens later this summer, it's already going to have people, startups, and programming in there, and really excited about that. Within those buildings, Over in the Labriola Innovation Complex, we've got the McNeil Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. They run a great, really exciting program called InnovateX, which provides design challenges for students, and companies sponsor these things, and there's financial awards for these to help the students continue with their ideas. The Venture Center is supporting Department of Energy and the National Renewable Energy Lab in the startups that they're helping to promote in the renewable energy space. There's something called the Westgate program that we're supporting and takes place here at Mines, as well as us being part of an NSF I-Core hub. So lots of things going on in that space, and we're really excited to see it take off. I'll just say it, this all started with student interest and really asking for us to have this. It was only made possible by alumni and other donor support to make these things really come to reality, and we will be, they're going to be bright stars when we're having celebrations for Mines at 150 next year in 2024. So, and then I just sort of wrap all that up as kind of like an example of what's an example of students coming together with innovations and challenges and support from both McNeil Center and from our Beck Venture Center. And we have a team here on campus that's been competing in what's known as NASA's Break the Ice Challenge. So NASA is trying to figure out how do you dig up, basically the dirt on the moon and take that somewhere where it can be processed and recover the water and other minerals and things like that. And so we have a team that's been competing in that. They were selected as one of those few groups at the end. We're teaming up with Lunar Outpost, which is a great partner and has a lot of Mines alums working there, and they won a $500,000 prize challenge to advance and build and test a prototype of their outpost digger system. So pretty exciting, just an example of one of the many things that I think is being enabled by this new emphasis on entrepreneurship and innovation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Brilliant Pantel, who's going to give you a little bit more insight to that thing that I referred to earlier as our signature student experience. So Braylin, take it away.
Wonderful. Thanks, Dr. Johnson. Thanks everyone for being here this evening. It's wonderful to be a part of this. And those who I haven't had a chance to meet yet, I am the still new, at least I'm gonna continue as a newbie here for at least my first year, Vice President of Student Life. And when I introduce myself to students and they're going around the room and saying what year they are in school, I say I'm basically a freshman, right? So I'm going through the Mines experience alongside our newest students and soaking it all up. And it has been a fantastic time to be at Mines, and I can really attest sort of firsthand to the wonderful opportunities that we have for our students, as I've spent quite a bit of time sitting with students and talking with them, but also experiencing that Mines signature student experience right alongside. So for example, E-Days right around the corner. I am excited to experience that. I've heard a lot about E-Days. Mr. E-Days is the theme this year, which should be pretty awesome. If you haven't seen the theme release video, you can see it on the Mines Activity Counselor MAC website. And a shout out to the students who are putting together all the activities. I'll be doing the orc cart pull next week with the students and cheering on the cardboard boat races and all the things. So if you are on the call and you are around E-Days in town next week, feel free to grab me and introduce yourself if we haven't had a chance to meet yet. Yesterday, actually, just Dr. Johnson and I were listening in on a panel presentation from a number of students, and one of them said it really well. She said, there is an impressive array of activities happening all around campus. And she's not wrong. But one of the things that I think makes the opportunities around campus even that much more impressive is that so much of what goes on around here is created by students for students. So our student leaders are really the drive behind so much of the signature student experiences. Some of these example pictures that you see here on the slide are coming from our student leaders who are innovating and bringing to life some really phenomenal ideas for their peers. And, this is not a coincidence, right? So there's a concerted effort here at Mines to ensure that our students are learning to lead. and that they have an opportunity to sort of put into practice some of the leadership skills that they're learning here at Minds within our very own campus community. So I want to just sort of expand upon this notion of the signature student experience a little bit here, and sort of these uniquely Ordiger experiences that we know are impactful learning opportunities and that really are distinctive to Minds, and talk a little bit about sort of the why, right? Why a signature student experience matters. Why do we sort of curate these specific types of experiences for our students? And one of the reasons, certainly not the only reason, but one of them is that we're pretty dialed into what our employers are looking for in the next generation of employees. So we recognize that not only are employers expecting excellent technical skills, which assuredly our graduates have, but they're also looking for employees who are going to really evolve their organizations, create the next iteration of their work product or process, who are going to be savvy team leaders and have those related skills. And so as an example, about a month ago, a group of us spent an afternoon engaged pretty deeply with a select group of employers that we invited to campus to help us sort of craft some upcoming plans for our VIP professional development program. So this is a newer program at Minds for those not familiar, but thanks to a generous gift from Fran Vallejo and Scott Irvine, who are Minds alumni and parents as well, we set up this intentional professional development program so that our students are able to gain relevant skills to complement the technical expertise that they're also learning here at Minds. So we sat down with the employers and we wanted to say, what do you see? What are you observing? What are the characteristics of those stellar new hires that you're bringing on board? And where are their gaps, right? Where are there some opportunities for us to really intentionally train our students to fill those gaps so that they can enter the workforce ready to lead and ready to make a positive impact right out of the gate? And so we had this really important conversation with this group of employers. And what we heard consistently across several industries was really a need to double down on training for our students on leadership skills, a particular emphasis on communication with diverse others. And I should clarify, that wasn't specific to Minds, but it was something that they were identifying as a real compelling need. And so I share this because I'm pretty proud of the way in which Minds has already created meaningful, relevant opportunities for students to gain those very skills, to put them into practice as well here at Minds, but also that we are evolving our offerings for students pretty directly in response to employer input. And I think that that's really important when it comes to the relevance of the signature student experience for Minds students. And so that shows up in an array of workshops that any student can attend, but we're also looking at how do we really embed some of that training into some of the existing structures, including classes, so that truly all students have that opportunity to learn and that benefit is scaled across the institution. So speaking of employers and meaningful experiences, I just wanted to mention sort of 'tis the season for our graduates to be shoring up their job offers, putting those final touches in place, and also for those not yet graduating to be preparing in many cases for summer internships. We continually hear from both students and employers how valuable internships can be. About 70% of our students actually participate in an internship or an internship-like experience during their time at Minds. And so I know we have a lot of parents on the call this evening, families, a quick plug. If your student doesn't yet have a summer internship lined up and that's an interest of theirs, it's not too late. We would love to support them in their quest for finding a fit, whether that's locally here in Golden or back home, wherever home may be. Please feel free to refer your student to our Career Center, and we would be glad to help them make some connections and set things up here pretty quickly for this summer. For those that may already have plans for an internship this summer, on April 18th, we're doing a workshop for summer interns to really help them be intentional about leaning into that specific learning opportunity and how to set themselves up to start building that professional network through their internship and so forth. So save the date for that, or please feel free to encourage your students to participate. For alumni or friends of Minds on the call, on the other side, if you have opportunities for Mind students to intern with your organization, please similarly let our Career Center know. We'd love to play matchmaker and help you find a fit for some wonderful students to come work with you this summer. So certainly, please be in touch on that front. So returning sort of back to this question of the why with respect to the signature student experience at Minds, in addition to what employers need and want, we're also really intentional about creating community at Minds. I think as Dr. Johnson mentioned, where students are challenged, but also where they're supported. And so much of that support is really actualized when we create a sincere environment where students feel that they belong, they feel comfortable, where they can reach out and they can get help in a meaningful way. And some of that is informal ways, right? Structures and services that we offer, but some of it's also the informal structures and the informal ways in which students support one another. And so we really have spent a lot of time focusing on empowering our student leaders and preparing them to be that support for one another, whether that's our resident advisors in the residence halls, who are sort of offering that culture of support on campus, to our student organization leaders, to even leaders in athletics and recreation. Certainly that's a strong interest area for many of our students. And I've been really impressed with the way in which our students have shown up for one another in that support realm. And so I want to just mention that as another unique sort of hallmark aspect of the Minds community that I think is really important. I also want to sort of put a plug in for Orediger Camp. As Dr. Johnson mentioned, this is something that's coming right up here around the corner for this summer. It's an awesome opportunity for those who are not familiar with the program, where we take students right before they're starting at Minds. So incoming first-year students, we head up to the hills. We spend about 2.5 days with them, working through engineering challenges, playing Gaga Ball. If you haven't played that, it's kind of a wild experience. I got my first foray into that this past summer. But most importantly, it's where students start to build out that community with one another, sort of that horizontal connection with their peers, but also sort of that vertical connection with the camp counselors, who are upper class students that really sort of show them the ropes, help model the way, and help them feel that sense of support. That vertical connectivity, though, doesn't end with our student leaders, right? We extend up as well and have phenomenal alumni who have also participated in Orediger Camp to offer their wisdom, to share their stories, and ultimately to inspire our newest students. And I can say with assurance from my observation, it was really, really powerful to see that happen, where this 17, 18-year-old was hearing from, a graduate, whether that was a recent graduate or someone several decades out, about how Minds had impacted their lives and the ways in which they had leaned into their learning opportunity as an Orediger and taken that sort of beyond in their career and in their life. And so the exciting part is that we are looking to scale Orediger Camp. Currently, about half of our incoming students participate, and we think we'll see that number hopefully close to 100%, not this coming summer, but beyond that. And so I share that to say that we're going to need a lot of help from more alumni and from more folks to help share their stories and impart that wisdom with our students. So more to come on that front, not just for Orediger Camp, but also for Orediger Camp. But alumni on the call and who are listening, just want to really say thank you for your engagement thus far, and also invite those who maybe haven't yet been as engaged or who are looking for opportunities to plug in to do so. I want to just close out here, and then I'll turn things over to Annie to speak a little bit more from the student perspective, but want to close out with a few comments just about some upcoming expansions of services related to mental health and well-being, knowing that this is a top of mind topic for many of us. Minds has long recognized the need to offer high quality support and services in this space, right? Mental health services for students have been in existence and are strong. But this past fall, our student governments, both at the undergraduate and graduate level, really challenged us to expand services in this area, to do more, to sort of invest at a greater level in the mental health and well-being of their community, of their peers. And so a shout out to the student leaders who really ensured that this was a priority for us this year. And so as such, we're planning on adding some clinical positions in both our counseling center and our health center focused on mental health. We're also adding a new 1-credit course at Mines that all undergraduate students will take early in their Mines career with an explicit focus on personal well-being. So Paul had mentioned the core revisions when he spoke earlier, and this is a part of that, right? So our faculty also see value in really prioritizing student health and well-being. And so this 1-credit course will be a new addition to our curriculum starting next year. And I think a really powerful lever in really empowering our students to learn about how to take responsibility for their own health and well-being and access services here at Mines, but also set themselves up for sort of a lifetime of attention to their wellness and well-being beyond. So enough from me. I'd love to turn things over now to one of our fabulous students, Annie Welch, to hear a little bit about her experiences at Mines. Annie is a junior here at Mines. She is a Harvey Scholar. She's a member of the Sigma Kappa sorority. She's involved in the McBride Honor Program, and I could go on and on and on. She's got a tremendous array of opportunities and experiences that she's had here at Mines. She's also a student who has a fabulous summer internship coming up. She shared with me a little bit about that, so I'll let her share a little bit more detail there. Annie is also a 5th-generation ore digger. And there's more to come. I'll let her tell the story, but her little brother is joining us at Mines. It sounds like next year. So Annie, take it away. Thank you.
Hello, yeah, as it was mentioned, I'm a junior here at Mines, specifically in the design engineering program with a focus in energy studies, and I'm also pursuing the McBride Public Affairs minor. So I can just talk a little bit about my academic and social kind of experiences here at Mines. Within my degree program, I am the biggest fan of design engineering. I'm always happy to talk about it to any incoming freshmen trying to pitch them to join our community. But if you don't know much about design engineering, it's basically a perfect degree for people who have lots of passions for people and environment, but also really want a strong, tailored STEM-focused education. And what's really special about design engineering is you get the design engineering education with the Mines core, and you take all these design classes, building some teamwork skills, prototyping, and some different community engagement, which is really, really special. But you also get to choose your own focus area. There's a whole bunch of preset ones with robotics, music and audio engineering, teaching in STEM. I'm in energy, you can do community development, and the list goes on, but you can also choose an individualized focus area. So it really, the degree program is awesome for people who come in really, really passionate about something, knowing exactly what they want to do in their future. I know I have a friend who's doing sustainable building design, and he is just obsessed with it. There's also lots of biomechanic focus areas, and another thing that I really love about the design engineering program is the really strong community. And I'm going to talk about a community a lot in these couple minutes here that I'm talking. But it's the program's on the smaller side, which means we have tons of interaction with faculty and lots of faculty support in choosing classes, advising about internships, and so on. And speaking of internships, I was able to find my internship at Career Day. So big shout out to everyone who works at Mines and Career Center to put that on, because it definitely pays off for a lot of students. I'm going to be working at NEI Electric Power Engineers this summer on their solar development team. So kind of taking projects from 0 to 30%, which I'm really, really excited about, because renewable energy is definitely where kind of my passion is. I'm also involved in Greek life. I'm in Sigma Kappa. It's an awesome support for women at Mines as far as making kind of female friends, as well as having some of that emotional and academic support while you're in college, while classes are hard and life is going crazy. It's definitely a super great community to be a part of within FSL. As also mentioned, I'm a Harvey Scholar. The Harvey Scholarship has offered me so many opportunities to find friends, find community, find leadership, and it has brought so much value to my Mines experience. The Harvey Scholarship is entirely student run, and I'm just ending my term as the applications coordinator, which has been such a whirlwind, learning all sorts of fun skills of organization, communicating with lots of incoming students, as well as the current scholar body, and just facilitating lots of students students reading lots of applications and having discussions about what our community values are and how we can find students who reflect those to join our community. Harvey also gave me the opportunity to study abroad. I studied abroad in Rome last summer, where I spent 6 weeks taking my econ credit and traveling all around Italy, all the way from Amalfi Coast to hiking in the Dolomites. And it was such a special experience to do that, that I wouldn't have had without the Harvey Scholarship. And I think something too that's really special about the Harvey Scholarship is the connection you build with Hugh and Michelle Harvey. They're incredibly involved donors in the scholarship, and we have monthly luncheons where we get to see them. And I love being able to see their faces, get hugs from Hugh and Michelle every time. It just definitely makes me feel like I have a home away from home here at Mines. And with that, I can go ahead and pass it off. Thank you.
Well done, Annie. And I'll lead the virtual applause for Paul, Braylon, and Annie for all of the amazing material. It's really incredible to try to bring the campus to you all in the short amount of time. There's just so many cool things happening. So, and especially Annie, thank you. I know you probably have tests to study for and all of that. Appreciate the questions that people are answering with the time we have left. We'll try to get to a few of these. There were a lot of questions about housing. I know that there's a significant interest, and Paul gave a good overview of plans for the future. I'm wondering maybe, Braylon, if you might give us a sense of what Mines is doing in the interim before some of those bigger projects are online, or how you could direct students and their parents for more information.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We certainly understand the importance of identifying good housing options for our students. So a couple things. We do have relationships with a number of local apartment complexes and folks who consistently rent to Mines students and are very interested in that. Our students are good tenants generally, and so we just a week or two ago, I think it was right before spring break, hosted a sort of an off-campus housing fair, and I had a chance to pop into that. And there were quite a few, like I said, apartment complexes, a number of different properties here in Golden, and then a few, a little bit further out in surrounding communities. We have relationships with those properties and are always happy to help students sort of navigate through the various different considerations when identifying an appropriate off-campus site. And so certainly that's something, if folks on the call have students who are, not sure where they're going to live next year, and that's a source of stress, send them my way. I'd be glad to help ensure that the students get support from our housing team to identify good options. So just feel free to email me. I'm pretty responsive on my email. It's just bpantel@mines.edu, and I'll gladly make sure that those students get some support in finding a fit. And then, hopefully, I wish we could wave a magic wand and open up a bunch of new places here on campus by the fall. It won't be quite that soon, but we are definitely working hard to expand capacity for student housing here on campus. Thank you,
Braylon, and thank you for being so accessible. Both you and Paul are always so good at that. And really, if people have questions, I know Paul is more than willing to answer emails, and Braylon, as she mentioned, is as well. And they've got a great team that are willing to provide the support you need. Trying to get to a couple of these other questions. I know that people have an interest in not only housing, but also the other construction that's happening on campus. I see Joe. Hi, Joe, asking a question about if there's a map that shows where these new facilities are located. And Paul, you'd mentioned you might be able to direct people somewhere or answer that question.
Yeah, thanks, Joe, for that question. Yeah, we do have a campus master plan, and we frequently update that as our plans evolve. And so I think, Brian, we can send Joe a link to where that is. But if you just kind of sort of Google campus master plan, I'd have to go check to see what version we have up there, but it generally will indicate the housing projects that Braylon was talking about. it'll indicate where our innovation hub is, where the Beck Venture Center is, where the Minerals and Energy Research Facility will go. I don't know if it's been updated to include the location of the planned next dining hall, but it should be pretty close to there. So, but we can send you a link on that.
Great, thank you. A lot of good questions about programming, future degrees, balance between incoming students, size. I think it's summed up well by a question from Hayden Withrich. I hope I'm saying your name right. How is the school balancing sustainable student population growth with academic excellence, course rigor, and the school's level of prestige? Kind of the essence for the Minds at 150 strategic plan in a lot of ways.
That's absolutely it, Brian. So, all the components that we talked about, we really in the plan emphasizing making sure that we have a very distinctive education, one that's based on rigor as well as practical experiences. We talk about having that signature student experience that builds around that adds all the other dimensions that employers are looking for that Braylon spoke about so well. We make sure that we're offering things that are of interest both to employers and students. I think Annie represented that very well when she talked about her interests in the program that she's able to develop through She's in Build. And then the size of the institution, again, it's not sort of growth for growth's sake, and it's not growth for perpetuity. It's really what size do we need to be able to offer all of those things that we want for students that really make up that distinctive, very top-ranked education that the question is really all about. And so all of those things went together for the plan. And I think we're seeing it all sort of come together, maybe at a little different rates on different parts of it. But next year when we're celebrating, I think we will have a lot to show about how that all came together.
Great, yeah, and it's fun to be a part of, certainly, and an honor to see the progress that's being made in creating that balance, and the future very bright for Minds. There's no question. A question from Khan. Hi, Khan Vu. What's going on? Good to hear from you. Asking about the accessibility and attractiveness to qualified students from all backgrounds, and we were just talking about this the other day, celebrating it yesterday. A new presidential fellow on campus. So, Paul, do you want to take that question from Khan?
I will, but Braylon may want to jump in as well. We have been so actually Brian was referring to yesterday, we had a big celebration of the progress that we've made on our diversity, inclusion, and equity strategic plan that we've had on campus, which is a subset of our Minds at 150 plan. And our goal is really we want to get to the point where our campus community reflects the community that we serve. And that everybody who comes to Minds, whether that's employees or students, has the same opportunities for success without any extra degree of difficulty added as a result of your background, whether that, whatever dimensions you look at, whether that's economic aspects of your background, whether that's race, ethnicity, gender, you name it. But we want everybody who comes to Minds to have the same opportunity to be successful as students and employees. And we've made a lot of progress on that. And actually, you go to the website and look at our plans on that, as well as progress reports that are going along. And yesterday was a great day for celebration. Student life has been a big part of that. So Braylon, I don't know if you wanted to make any comments.
Yeah, thank you. I would just add a couple of things. Certainly, yeah, our multicultural engineering program, MEP, which has a long legacy of doing some really important work at Minds, is continuing to do that work and looking at ways to really ensure that we're serving students in a way that is meaningful to them. But I also want to mention the question I think was also asking about access. And we just were this past year awarded a federal TRIO grant, which is a Department of Ed grant that will be in partnership with a local high school, but there's a really important sort of pipeline emphasis of helping to prepare high school students to think about fields in STEM and post-secondary education in STEM hopefully we want them to come to Minds ultimately, but really the purpose of the grant is to look at expanding access for underrepresented communities in STEM, period. And so it's a competitive grant, and we were awarded, and we'll start that this summer in partnership with a high school here. And I'm excited to see not only sort of the direct impact of the TRIO grant, but how we might be able to sort of leverage the lessons learned from that TRIO model and employ that in a couple other ways as well. So I think some exciting things happening on kind of the college pipeline front as well.
Yeah, and on the access side, just add real quick to complement what Braylon was talking about. Last year, we talked a bit about all the various pathways we had created to get to Minds. And one of the ones we're particularly proud of is the relationships we have with the community college system. Obviously, Red Rocks has had a long historic relationship with them. But we were the first university in the state to create articulation agreement with all the community colleges in the state. And with our faculty working with the faculty at the community colleges to make sure they were delivering sort of the courses that needed to be delivered for students to be prepared to come to Minds. But any student that a new program is created at the community colleges called the Associates of Engineering Science degree, I think, something like that. In any case, any student that completes that degree at a community college, all their work automatically transfers to Minds. So, and if they performed at a good enough level, they enter Minds with all those credits and already coursework behind it. So we've added other ways of getting to the campus as well, and we're excited about that.
Great, thank you both. Hey, Annie, turn on your camera. We want to acknowledge you again. You did a great job, and Annie is a representative of just our tremendous student body, and is the reason that Braylon, Paul, and I absolutely love what we do. And so thank you for participating and sharing your story and experiences. And all of you out there who have joined us, and those who haven't and who will listen to this, get involved. We can't stress enough how important your involvement is to making the signature student experience, which is uniquely Minds, very special. It sets us apart, a reality. So there are a number of different ways to get involved, and we hope that you'll take advantage of that. Paul, maybe some closing comments as we finish out the spring State of Minds.
Sure. First of all, thanks everybody for being here. Second of all, thank you for all that you do to support Minds. Minds would not be the place that it is. We would not have the wonderful programs we have. We would not have the scholarships for students. We wouldn't have anything with all the support, both financial and engagement that we have from alumni and other folks who are connected to Minds. So thank you for all that you do for that. If you have any, as Brian said, if you have any questions, any follow-ons, Brian, Braylon, I'd be happy to. I would love all of you, if you haven't, and I know some of you come here to campus because I noticed we've got faculty, student, staff on here as well. But come to campus and sit down and have coffee with one of our students. Come meet Annie, and her friends. And I always tell this to people, and people are probably getting tired of me saying this, but you could have watched the evening news for the last hour, and probably that just would have gotten you agitated or grumpy or discouraged about the future of the world. Instead of spending an hour watching the evening news, come here and spend 20 minutes with Annie and her friends, and I'll tell you, you will walk away thinking the world is going to be a wonderful place in the future, and that Minds is a great place, and anything that we can do to support a place that brings and graduates such amazing students like Annie and her friends is a place we all are proud to be connected to. So, Brian, it's yours.
Hear, hear. Well said. And I know Braylon agrees as well. So thank you all for joining. And this concludes our State of Minds. Have a great rest of your evening and rest of the week. Thank you.